ما بعد التعافي من خلال بنك ناصر الاجتماعي. أيضا يمكن إحنا كشفنا أثناء 3 أعوام السابقة على 138 ألف سائق على مستوى جميع المحافظات، سواء سائق مدرسي أو سائق حافلات أو سائق طرق سريعة. يمكن نسبة التعاطي كانت حوالي 12%، نزلت ل9، نزلت ل7، وهذا كمان بنزف خبر ان هي نزلت ل5 بوينت شوية. وبنكشف أيضا على العاملين في الدولة، تم الكشف على 700 ألف موظف ومن العاملين في الدولة، واستصدرنا قانون بفصل العامل الذي يثبت إدمانه إذا لم يبلغ عن نفسه، لكن بنفتح الباب له دائما. وأخيرا خدمات الخط الساخن 16-023 بنقدم فيه المشورة، بنقدم فيه خدمات العلاج والتأهيل، الإبلاغ عن سائقي الحافلات المدرسية وعن الإتجار بالمخدرات، والإبلاغ عن المراكز غير المرخصة. في خدمات الخط الساخن تم عمل 105 ألف اتصال استقبالهم و170 ألف مريض متردد خلال عام 2022. شكرا جزيلا. وعلى حبيت أركز على كل اللي بنعمله مع المجتمع المدني، وشرف لينا. كل التحية والتقدير لكل جمعية من أول خدمة تنمية المجتمع لغاية الجمعيات الكبيرة في الشراكة معنا في دعم الرعاية الصحية للأم والطفل والمجتمع المصري. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for those insights and for sharing the initiatives that are being done by the Ministry. It was really insightful. And thank you to everyone who stayed with us. It's been a long day, and we're coming to the end of it, and we hope you enjoy the discussion that we have today. It's my pleasure to be moderating this session on the role of civil society in supporting healthy population and sustainable development. Civil society and non-state organizations have been contributing to public health for centuries. In more recent years, however, they have grown in scale and influence and are having profound impacts on health. So Dr. Abla, to start us off, from your experience, how does engaging in civil society in the formation of public policy impact the way that health goals are integrated into the Sustainable Development Framework? Wherever you like. There's
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I start, I would like to congratulate Professor Khalid Abdel Ghaffar and the Ministry of Health for such wonderful, outstanding, very prestigious level of conferences, which opened the room for coming series of conferences of population, as our President mentioned yesterday, that to be every year. And we are very sorry to keep you all waiting till 6:30 p.m. We hope the coming hour will go. The NGO are taking a greater role in public services delivery, mitigating the gaps the governments are unable to address. And this is the mega role of the NGOs and the Ministry of Social Solidarity. They do this through either collaborating directly with the ministries and with the government, or providing direct services to the unfortunate population. And the most important issue is advocacy and policy change, which help the government to change its way of serving mainly the unfortunate and marginalized population. Through advocacy, the NGOs can gather the informations, and they have very special role because they are there at the borders where really these people are lying there. They want to listen to them, gather the gaps, see the challenges, and see the requirements from the government. Then they explore their needs, and they suggest the strategically changes and policies that can fill these gaps. In these ways, they can be very powerful in policy change, in changing laws in the country, and procedure and administrative law. The NGO also has the ability to learn and to lead and support this change. And it is the trick that every NGO should have the power to look at self and see where she wants to stay, either to fully support and change, or just to watch, or to be very neutral, and even to go to the other side of the parties and oppose the law or oppose the legislation. In Egypt here, the role of the NGO is to do the advocacy mainly, and it is the role of the government, the parliamentarians, or even the president to take this to a law. It is not the role of the NGOs to put the law, but they can contribute to the draft of the law. And currently, the opportunities of the NGO to affect the policies are increasing. This is because of the participatory development in the globe. Also, the right-based approach, everybody now looking for human rights and everything. And this is what makes the role of the NGOs increasing and growing more and more. The advocacy, again, is very beneficial for the NGO itself. It can improve their profile, their look at the partners, so you can fundraise more, and social and child health, who are all pediatricians who are looking to find a solution. We were looking to find a solution for two challenges in Egypt. One challenge is in indicators of child health in early childhood, and particularly the 1,000 days. And the other challenge, a solution for the population issue, because Egypt was struggling to solve the problem of population regarding number and characters. So we had our organization in 2007, registered in Ministry of Social Solidarity, and we worked in advocacy in 15 governorates, trying to autism, obesity, poor school performance, all this increase if the children is less than 2 years apart. And the other one is the number of working staff. We all know that in Egypt we have deficiency in the doctors and in the nurses. And this again was another challenge. And out of these challenges, we thought and we worked hard to create a solution. And the solution was, first, to change the message from having a message based on the number of the children to message based on the rights of the children in optimal care during 1,000 days. And we had the 7 rights which the minister yesterday mentioned in his talk, which is like Her Excellency Minister of Social Solidarity mentioned just now. First, the premarital counseling. Second, the delay of first pregnancy for 1 year. Third, safe pregnancy. Fourth, safe normal labor in absence of any medical indication for cesarean section. 5, the golden first hour. 6, the baby-friendly and developmentally sound care during the first 2 years of life. And the last right is the spacing of pregnancy for 3 to 5 years to protect our children from all the diseases. And then we followed the scientific way, so we took these suggestions and we created a job which called exactly like affect the baby and get the baby premature. And once the baby is here, your right stops and the right of the baby starts. So it is the right of the baby to have his optimal care in the 1,000 days, first 2 years, and then when your baby is 2 years, it is the right of the next baby to get ready for him for 1 year with iron and folic acid and the treatment, psychological relaxation, and the financial support, and then we'll make the distance between 2 pregnancies from 3 to 5 years. And with this, we changed the issue of family planning from governmental demand to customer demand. It is the mother who comes to us and say, so doctor, tell us what to do to keep the spacing 80% were them more than 3 to 5 years. It's 3 to 5 years when we did the interview with them after 1 year of implementation. And also we worked on cesarean section and we trained midwives, and with the change in the concept about cesarean section, we could reduce in Alexandria cesarean section among the population from 70%, the group which we worked on, 70% to 58%. And this is when we evaluated the trial, the Minister of Health took it to His Excellency the President, and it was launched on 22nd of August as the national or presidential initiative to be implemented throughout the nation. In the same time, through Social Solidarity Ministry, we worked with a program called Forza, and we are training the people for Takaful and Karama to be family counselors and to take jobs as family counselor and serve the population. We went to the private sectors and we are training also family counselor and midwives among the private hospitals. So, to conclude, advocacy, proper advocacy, that we could initiate an initiative. And this initiative has 3 innovations. And the innovations led us to a policy through the Ministry of Health to change the message to the people and to have a new place in the...
Can advocate for policies that will be prioritized by government in family planning and in improving maternal health. And we engage also the government, officials, senators, legislators, policymakers to emphasize the importance of investing in family planning and in maternal health. We do also data sharing and research, and we collaborate on these activities, and we share data that will be support for policy making and implementing different programs. And also, we do some collaborative works in service delivery and capacity building. We train healthcare providers, monitor them, go to their community, so that we are able to bring health closer to the people, not only confining ourselves in our own facilities. And also we do some community engagement. We want the programs to have ownership by the community itself, so that we collaborate with the people in the community, because it will benefit them more with this collaboration.
We have the clicker if you want to use your presentation.
Okay.
We have the clicker if you want to use your presentation.
Okay, I will be fine. Yeah. So that is how we enhance collaboration among the civil society organization in the Philippines.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sorry that clicker came in a little bit late, but it was really great to hear about the different platforms that you use to be able to enhance collaboration. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that takes me over to Dr. Hiba Wafa from UNDP for the next question. From your perspective, in what ways can civil society raise awareness about the importance of equitable access to healthcare and sustainable development?
Thank you, Your Excellency, esteemed panel members, dear audience. As mentioned rightly by everybody who spoke before me, yes, civil society can bridge this gap and can help reach equitable health. And I guess this morning when we heard His Excellency Minister Abdel Ghaffar, who was talking about the new health strategy, and I guess priority number 2 and and under which is the mitigation of health inequalities, civil society can play a great role in that. They have the better reach out, they are on the ground, they know the social in directing the most marginalized and most people in need, 5.1 million families of Takaful and Karama, to the right message. You give them the right messages and they deliver it to people. So this is very important, that you equip them with the right message and you equip them with the right information. That's when they will deliver very well. Another example of success that we have been having with the NGOs is the support that they have been giving us through our to work on to support people living with HIV. and also TB. Through our work with the NGOs and through building the capacity to support the most underserved and hardest to reach population, it has proven the time it takes for the treatment, and they are away from work for a certain time. They need psychosocial support, their families need support, they need livelihood support as well. So this is a very important role that is played by the civil society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Obviously, the importance of focusing and addressing vulnerable populations and the right messages. You need the right messages to be able to effectively raise awareness. Thank you for highlighting those two key points as well, and the partnerships. And that takes me over to you, Dr. Rania. From the perspective of Pathfinder, what innovative approaches can civil society groups employ to address healthcare disparities and promote equitable health outcomes within a population?
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, thank you, Sarah, Your Excellency. Thank you. It's a true honor to be here in this panel today. My fellow panelists and the audience. So when we talk about innovative approaches that NGOs can implement in the field, I think we can look at it from the angle of that they take
We can't hear you.
They take
That
care.
mic is on.
Yes, is this working now?
Now it's
yes.
working.
Okay.
Yep.
So we can see that NGOs play a very, very, very important role in the family planning programming, be it from the supply side or from the raising the awareness side. When we talk about the supply side, I think there's several things that we can talk about here. There is stressing the importance of integration. I think all day we've been hearing the word that we can no longer work in silos. And that applies, of course, as well to family planning. Community-based distribution. In many countries, NGOs play a major role in community-based distribution for family planning methods. Then, of course, there's a part where NGOs can also play a very important role partnering with the public sector or the private sector in cost share, bearing the cost of the services received by the community. When we look at the awareness side, there's also a lot of approaches implemented by NGOs. We can talk about how NGOs are in the communities, listening to the communities, looking at what they need, which basically makes them design better programs to fit the different needs. We have gender transformative approaches. The session before this talked about women empowerment, talked about the importance of the role of women, and listening to men, engaging men as well in the overall family planning decision. Looking at the family as a whole. Again, we're not working in silos. We need to address the family as a whole, and many NGOs are doing a lot of work reaching families as one unit of change. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for those insights, as well as addressing, the demand side, the supply side, but also making the point of listening to women and understanding what we actually need to do and understanding the gaps, which is also what you started with, Dr. Abla, really understanding where the gap is that we need to focus on as well. Thank you for that. That takes me to the next question to Dr. Hanan. From the perspective of UNHCR, what's the role that civil society plays in supporting communities and populations during emergencies and responses to crisis, disasters, and conflict?
Good evening. It's an honor to be with Your Excellency and with the esteemed members of the panel and the audience. I'm happy to speak about the role of civil society as a partner to UNHCR, as a key partner to UNHCR. The civil society plays a key role in UNHCR work in responding towards refugees around the world. Around 40% of UNHCR budget is expenditure goes to partners, of which most are international and national NGOs. NGOs are heavily relied on to implement a wide range of projects, including aid distribution, protection, logistics, shelter, water, sanitation, nutrition, education, and health. I'm really happy to speak about the MENA Civil Society Network that UNHCR pioneered in MENA, and that was also a very dear colleague, Egyptian colleague, who took the role in moving forward with this network, Ms. Shadin Khalaf, and I would like to say hello to her in this moment. A UNHCR network of displacement, it included NGOs, academic institutions, faith-based organizations, artists, cultural influencers, private sectors are enjoyed in their work to support forcibly displaced persons. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So the objectives of this network is to provide a regional platform for consultation and cooperation among members on issues of common related to displacement, refugees, and humanitarian actions in order to advance the rights of displaced persons and refugees. It aims also to widen the protection, space, and assistance in the region for refugees and communities, promote durable solutions, influence policy making on issues related to protection of refugees and support to host communities, exchange information of common interest, and strengthen the capacity of the network members to further support and expand their work. Civil society and the Global Compact of Refugees. Civil society is a frontal line in implementation of the Global Compact of Refugees, 5% of other pledges. I would like to speak a bit about UNHCR health strategy in Egypt. UNHCR health program in Egypt reflects its global approach. At its core, UNHCR is relying on national system and would like to express gratitude to the Egyptian government for extending access to public health services to refugees and asylum seekers at par with Egyptian citizens. I would like also to express gratitude for the Egyptian government and different ministries, including the esteemed Ministry of Social Solidarity, for all the support and also the inclusive efforts that's being done towards refugees and persons of concern. And it is a true partnership that we appreciate a lot. NGOs, for instance, as Caritas and Save the Children, are relied on to deliver complementary health services, which refugees and asylum seekers have difficulty accessing due to financial constraints. NGOs are also paramount in UNHCR work within the refugee community, providing health awareness and disseminating health information. During national campaigns such as polio vaccination efforts, the importance of collaboration with the civil society cannot be understated. Without our partners and civil society partners, our work in Egypt also would have had a great gap. So we are extremely happy with the partnerships that we have, we rely on, and we aim to continue strengthening. Role of civil society in emergency. We continuously improve collaborations with partners, particularly promoting national partners at first responders in emergency operations. In emergencies, NGOs are usually the first to mobilize funds, send personnel, and extend immediate material assistance. In the context of Sudan, for instance, emergency, the Egyptian Red Crescent, whom I've seen also are here tonight, and I would like to thank them dearly for their excellent efforts that have been made. The Egyptian Red Crescent has been one of the first respondents on the ground and a key partner that we value the partnership with greatly. UNHCR Egypt forged partnerships to support the Egyptian Red Crescent to enhance its delivery of assistance to new arrivals from Sudan and to the host community and at the southern border. In brief, how do we implement and engage with civil society? Implementation agreement we have with 10 NGOs and international NGOs. They receive 28% of UNHCR operating budget, and they support refugees and host community members. In 2023, UNHCR Egypt has invested around 0.3 billion Egyptian pounds to support the civil society to provide health, education, material assistance, and protection services to the beneficiaries. 20% of this 0.3 billion Egyptian pound is allocated to support Sudan emergency, where more than 350,000, more than 280,000 arrived from Sudan throughout Egypt, southern borders. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hiba, for that. and for everything UNHCR is doing to protect refugees and for sharing the health strategy as well. We've looked at a couple of different angles of the role that civil society play and how the developments, how it's contributing to many developments and impacts in health. We want to come back to you, Dr. Esmeralda, to ask a bit about some of the challenges that civil society face when advocating for health-related policies.
Civil society organizations as a whole face several challenges when advocating or implementing their health-related programs and policies. So as mentioned, the limited resources. Civil society groups often lack the financial and human resources needed to effectively advocate for health policies. So how do we overcome this challenge? So we form partnership with other civil society organizations to pool resources and share costs. We seek funding from our international partners, foundations, and donors that support health-related initiatives. We utilize social media and digital platforms for cost-effective advocacy campaigns. Another problem is the lack of access to decision-making processes. Although, as mentioned earlier, our PSRP has the advantage of putting in a member from the government. Civil society may struggle to gain access to policymakers and key decision makers who have authority to shape health policies. How do we overcome this challenge? We build relationships with local community leaders, academics, and influencers who may have connections with decision makers. We participate in public consultations, town hall meetings, and policy forums to make our voice heard. And we collaborate with organizations that have a more direct line of communication with policymakers. And the last challenge we'll use will be limited public awareness. The lack of public awareness about specific health issues can make it challenging for civil society organizations to garner support for their advocacy efforts. To overcome this, we develop clear and compelling communication materials that explain the importance of health issues at hand. We organize public awareness campaigns, workshops, and seminars to educate the public and gather support. And we use personal stories and testimonials to make health issues relatable and humanize the advocacy efforts.
Thank you so much, Professor Esmeralda, and there's some insightful ways that you address the challenges raised as well. I know everyone's getting a bit restless, so we have our very last question for Dr. Fadwa. And to help us conclude the discussion, can you talk to us a little bit about how civil society can help hold governments accountable for the commitments to health and their sustainable development targets?
Thank you so much. So, Your Excellency, dear panelists, and dear audience, we as IPPF, International Parenthood Federation, that is holding more than 143 member associations, and in Egypt we have the Egyptian Family Planning Association. We are really sticking as one of our main pillars of framework to accountability of civil society. So what we are doing, we are mainly working on three main things. The first one is how we can ensure that monitoring government performance, ensuring that they deliver what they promise. So today we've been, and we got the honor to see and how the Ministry of Health framed its own strategic framework 2330, and our, in any sense, to a larger audience. So here we are not alone. We are part of stakeholders that are working with a whole sphere. We have journalists, we have parliamentarians, we have other civil society that are not really that big, that others that needs to be trained, that needs to be built as capacity in order to be sustained and to make sure they are here and powerful to ask questions and to ask for commitment. And finally, one way that is really important is civil society when it comes to international sittings and international conferences. Her Excellency was just explaining that in Egypt we have more than 10,500 organizations of civil society, but the questions, who are the civil society or the part of organization?
Can support the households, because if you have free services for everybody, it's going to degrade gradually. One day or another is going to be degraded. But I think the trust of the communities in the NGOs, being very close to the NGOs, being very available for them, also the existence of women at the bottom level, because not all of the communities, the women are open to have some sorts of dealing with doctors, men. Whether we like it or not, it's their culture and we have to respect it. I think also the private sector has to do a lot in terms of supporting, in terms of social accountability, and to support the NGOs that are doing so. And last but not least, the kind of having not only the doctors, but the team itself, the medical team, to be trained. And I put very much high hopes on the community workers or the health workers. The communities trust them. They can deal with them. They can do health checks, breast cancer checks, and so on. So just to trust them that they can convey these services, and we have our efforts together. And I really thank Dr. Khaled, His Excellency Minister of Health. We were just meeting in the ministry in order to intersect and collaborate in about 9 interventions together, starting from early childhood, starting from the first 1,000 days up till the elderly. And finally, I think we should give more attention to the elderly, because we always focus on the productive age and then we forget about the elderly and geriatrics. So I think this is also very important. Thank you very much, and lots of pleasure to be with you today, to be with such a distinguished panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Please join me in thanking the exceptional panelists with us today. And thank you to the audience who stayed with us this late.